Итак, пожалуйста, аплодисменты. Ольга Синельникова, эксперт-аналитик компании Infopulse, и ее доклад «Conflict, a rotten apple that spoils». Итак, пожалуйста, еще аплодисменты, чтобы подбодрить немножко Ольгу и Алину. Итак, внемлем.
Actually, you know what? This has been one of the most horrible days in my life because the hotel was horrible and the elevator didn't work. The food was disgusting. And I believe you have every hotel in Harkovie is this way, right? Then when I left, I thought that the taxi driver would be a more efficient person and he could not find the place. And, you know, I think that if it were like a woman driver, it would be much more better experience. Okay, I finally got here and there was the security guards. They wouldn't let me in. And I told them that, come on, look, I'm the speaker at this conference. This conference is good for nothing without me. And they told me that it's like, I'm not on the participants list. Okay, finally, I am here, and I thought that what the heck was going on here? I came to our people, and I asked them that I don't want to wait the whole day. I want to just talk now and leave. And you know what they told me? They told me that, okay, we have the schedule, and you agreed to the schedule. You wanted to be the last to report. Yeah, but I changed my mind. Why not? I want to leave because I just don't like this thing. And honestly speaking, I believe that Infopulse could have found just more professional people to organize such events. So I think that I've had enough, and I don't think I want to go. I want to continue with this presentation. Oh boy. I am so sorry, and the first thing that I want to say, my dear ladies and gentlemen, I do hope, well, this is so hard, because, you know, I'm trembling now, but I do believe that at some point you did understand that this was a performance. I want to tell you that what that insane woman did here, it was a lie. Every single word that she pronounced was a lie. And what she basically wanted to do, she wanted to start a conflict. I'm trembling now because this is so strange. This is like, this experience is like, I have never experienced this in my life, and I do hope that you will excuse me. I will probably be asking for your excuses 20 more times, but let me now start the way I should have started that. So, my name is Olga Sинельникова. I'm an analyst, and I've been with Infopulse for about 4 years now. I enjoy every single minute of my work at this company, and I'm so happy to be here with you. And what I wanted to do, so now you see the video as that lady progressed. So what she basically did, she made a good apple, a good thing spoil. I have an apple here, so I will just leave it here. One last thing before we continue. Last time when I was in Vinnytsia and I had a conversation, I got some feedback that I simply wasted my time when I was doing that in 2 languages because I was doing that in Ukrainian and English. So lessons learned. This is going to be in English only, and please let me know if you feel comfortable with that. That's great. One last thing. Sometimes I can do it very fast, and I completely forget about the audience because I have so much information to share. I will try not to do so. But just in case you, Alina, can you help me, please? Can you show the presentation now? Some technical difficulties here. This is not mine. This one. And I could use this right here. I'm sorry about that. You know, people tend to talk about apples these days, and normally they start talking about this Cupertino thing that everybody either likes or not, you know, the apple that comes from Cupertino. But today I wanted to talk about a different apple. I found a good proverb in English: a rotten apple can spoil its neighbors. A rotten apple can spoil the whole barrel. So, and I thought that this was like a very good allegory to what conflicts do in our workplace. Maybe this is not only about the workplace, it is also about your families, about your relations with your kids. So what I want to talk about now, I want to talk about things that spoil our relationship and that can threaten the project's success at work. So again, I I have divided my presentation into 3 bigger chunks. First, I want just to look at the example that was here with that strange woman coming here. You know, she looks like me in appearance, but she has nothing to do with the way I communicate with people. So we will be analyzing what she did wrong, and I will be happy if you listen to my examples. I will be giving you a lot of examples from my practical experience, because it is very rarely that I teach theory. I don't think that I can teach theory, only the English language, but this is kind of the professional thing. So I will be giving you a lot of examples from our own experience. Unfortunately, these examples are very multiple in our everyday lives. And what I wanted, then after this, I will give you a harder case, and I will try to make you think. And I don't have the answers to the questions that I will be asking you. And in the end, we will have a kind of entertaining part, and you will be able to earn some additional merchandise from Infopulse for answering simple questions. So the first thing that I want to talk, I have, I told you that what was here in the beginning, it was a complete lie. And you know that information is something that is very important, especially in the IT industry. It's informational technology. We've been taught from our early ages that lying is bad. We teach our kids, they go to school, they get the same information, but you will not believe very often we, the adult people, just do such simple and horrible mistakes. I will give you one example. Do you know what Xamarin is? Xamarin is a very powerful cross-platform technology, but it is now like this. But about 3 years ago, when it was like the very early ages of Xamarin, there was a tool called Xamarin Forms. And those who remember, you remember that was a disaster, because every single update that would come would damage everything that was done before. I can tell you, because I was in one of the teams. We had a project, and it was like we were approaching the end of the project. We were approaching the production date. We had about 3 or 4 developers, and we had 2 QAs. We had the managerial people, and we had a manager who was in the States. We had our meetings, daily meetings, and during those daily meetings, the manager would expect us to share our progress, if we have any problems and how many bugs are left and so on. Our manager on this side, on the Ukrainian side, he thought that the biggest thing the person can do is to please the external manager, no matter what, right? And the problem was, we were expecting a new release of Xamarin Forms. Our guys were smoking 20 cigarettes a day because they knew that that is gonna break our application, because we've seen that, right? And we have Jira as a tracking tool. We had, so the manager would start the talking, would start the scrum with the external one and saying that, hello, we have only 3 bugs left. That was absolutely true, only in that part that we had 3 critical bugs left. But we had about 11 of them in total, right? Of course, there were like 2 or 3 which were minor to trivial, but we had like 5 or 7 bugs which were major, without which we would not be possibly going to production. But the manager thought that he was not going to upset the customer. And what happened when we had the Xamarin Forms update? Everything possibly, whatever could possibly go wrong, went wrong. So you would click one place, another page would open. This was the mobile application, of course, and the application would crash and so on and so forth. When the team finally started like cursing on every internal scrum, then we had a manager change. And the first thing that different person said when on the meeting with the customer, that kind of, Houston, we've got a problem. And that was very nice, because that American manager was saying that I felt that something was wrong. Because every day I see that you have a big team of 4 developers, 2 QAs, you have only 3 bugs left, and they never stop, right? So that was not the good approach. And this is what I wanted just to say. So when you have some information, and that was information, you've got to understand that if you share this information properly, it can help you. It was a very, because it's not only that he has good relationship with the external manager, but this is something that the people learn about the team. This team is good for nothing. They cannot handle 3 bugs within 2 weeks, right? After this, everything was okay, but that was like that was a kind of conflict, and the team was very happy when it was resolved because we had some additional resources allocated and everything was fine. So what I want, sometimes I might be giving you very straightforward and self-explanatory things, but again, they work. So if you don't want to start a conflict, no matter what conflict that is, either it's in a team or between the developers, whatever, so please do not share unreliable information. Again, in this model that we are working, not the whole team is working with the customers. So, for instance, sometimes I am responsible for delivering the information to the team, or at least to the QA team. If I share the information which is not true, or if I share like not full information, that is going to be a problem in the end, right? You don't have to make some assumptions which are not absolutely correct. For instance, if you've seen something in the previous project, you've got to talk to the team, and only then you've got to decide if this is going to work with you. So if just some simple don'ts that will help you not fail your project. At the same time, when you have some information and you're not quite sure, you have the whole team to decide, you have the whole team to help you. So try to collect some portions of your team and try to decide if this is going to work or not. If you have like a conflict, sometimes we might have conflicts between developers because you have different approaches, and this is okay because conflicts can be productive. Then in the end, you can get a better solution. But you've got to understand, if you are kind of the person who goes in between the conflicting team, you've got to make sure that you listen to every party and that the information that they share is reliable. So that this way it could help you. Again, this is based on what that I tell you. The hotel was okay. It was very nice, and the food was very. We had a variety of food. Of course, the elevator was working. We had no taxi driver because it like 5 minutes. Because I saw some strange experience on my friends' faces because we were walking like 5 minutes walk from here. But I had to invent this because it's like sometimes my kids, when they try to lie to me, and I just get to understand why they are doing so, right? So if you understand why the person is doing so, it might help you resolve this conflict. Sometimes I give here the quote, Rudyard Kipling and his poem, If, just don't deal in lies. This is it, right? And you depend on the way. Information can be false or it can be wrong. Depends, right? But still, this is like, it's equally not good. The next thing that I wanted to talk to you, remember, that woman, not me, she said, so I believe that everything in every hotel in Kharkiv is like this. Can't you do something about that, or so on and so forth? I don't think that any of you owns a hotel in Kharkiv, right? I don't think that any of you has a taxi, is a taxi driver. So that was a completely wrong audience. Of course, if she wanted to ask your advice, or if she wanted to look, if she looked for sympathy, this is okay. But with the way she was talking is as if like she was standing next to the reception and she was demanding something that was not given to her. When we were in Vinnytsia and I was giving some communication examples, I mentioned that when we attend meetings, Skype meetings, and you have many people to join, you have a minute or two that you can use for your personal things. If you just get that Xamarin certification, or if you had like 40 minutes, if you spent 40 minutes to go to work when you usually spend 15 minutes, you can talk about this. But the point of this is you want to share this because you want to have some example, you want to have some advice, you look for some sympathetic words. This is okay. In the internet, when you search for good quotes about audience, there are a lot of examples for salespeople because they earn their bread and butter from selling things to you, and it is very good. So remember that not everyone is your audience, right? And at the same time, when you have the value in your information, just try to think what value the audience will have from that. You did not get any value from her shouting that was bad, that was not good, and so on. So if you just try to think before you open your mouth, I'm just generalizing this, but before you open your mouth, try to think what you expect from the people. And again, an example from my personal experience. Sometime long ago, we had a technical lead who was invited to the team, and he was, a technical lead, kind of architect, and he was supposed to teach the people because he was in a higher position. We had a couple of middle developers, and sometimes, you know, I always try to have my eyes open and my ears tuned, and people tend to talk to me. So when we were going home or when we were going to lunch, he would say, hey, he is good for nothing. I'm not going to explain to him, or he just failed that task and so on. And I was, you know, I'm not in the position of taking employment decision, but I'm in the position of advising people, because if something's going wrong in the team, we are not going to succeed. And when I asked him, do you want to start a kind of test? Do you want to start a kind of performance appraisal thing? He said, no, 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 no. So I did not understand what the point of his talking was, right? She was just talking for the sake of talking. And this is on the edge of gossiping, right? Like old elderly people sitting next to your house and looking where you ride from and what you're wearing and so on. This is not productive, and you're wasting your time. It's okay if you see that somebody is performing not to the extent that they should perform. You just better, if you cannot talk about this directly, find the people who can do this. But talking for the sake of talking is good for nothing. It's just wasting your time. So this is what, again, I gave some of the examples here. Then, you know, all these things that I'm talking about, this like audience and information, and there will be some more. I didn't want to number them because I think that they are equally important. However, here, instead of don't, I just put never. Again, my hands are shaking, and you know, the most difficult part was about this taxi driver that she invented, when she said that a woman taxi driver would be kind of better. If you're in the position of stopping people when they start talking about gender, about race, about education, family issues, this is the meanest and the lowest conflict starter possible. You know, people cannot change the color of their skins, and this is just not, this is inappropriate in any way. I will not, again, we have a couple of examples. I don't want to share them because they are really indecent and they are so bad. But I just remember somebody saying that one of the Indian managers would never sit at the same table with meat eaters. Can you imagine that? You know, the person was, on the one hand, he was like a very good specialist, but he was such a horrible person because he would think that people who eat meat, just because he is a vegetarian, they do not have the right to sit around with him around one table. This is just about the same. I'm so happy, again, I'm no feminist at all, I tell you for sure, but I'm so happy that we have women developers, women QAs, because about 15 years ago, that was like a very strange thing to have a developer who would be a girl, right? And if in your team, anyone starts a conflict saying that she is a woman, she cannot do good, or he is like a Muslim and he is good for nothing, you better stop that. And I would say that people have to be reminded that there is no one who cannot be substituted. If he is a perfect developer, if he is a fantastic QA, but he starts a conflict based on such basic human things, this is not a very good person. And again, a kind of quote from that poem, one of my favorites. So, don't give way to hating. Even if you're hated, don't give way to hating. Nobody cares what you're talking about in your kitchens, right? So nobody cares about your ideas as long as you do not include them into your business communication. But this is not appropriate to use that in business communication at all. That's what I wanted to do here, right? Yeah, I have a little toy here in my pocket, and Igor brought it to me. And, you know, I was so nervous, I wanted to curse a little bit. I wanted to say some bad words and then just do like this so that you could not hear them. But, you know, I failed that. But this thing is about language. Again, in business communication, bad language is not, I believe I said what the heck, right? I did say that, right? So this was kind of what the hell was going on. In business communication, bad language is not acceptable. Again, I can give you an example that, of course, you know that in IT, every meeting can be recorded, right? If you send an email, an emotional email, you never know how that thread develops and who will be reading this email later on. And again, there was an example that one of the team, he was like emotional and he just used inappropriate language with regard to one person. And somehow it ended up that that person was reading an email. Nothing dramatical happened, but that was a very like strange situation. Again, when you discuss something internally, sometimes, it's easier for developers or for people to talk in the language that they choose. But when you use it in your business communication, please be aware that this is not quite appropriate. For instance, the English language is very very powerful, and you can find better examples. I like this quote. So when you talk to crowds, you should keep your virtue. If you walk with kings, don't lose the common touch. Kind of this, right? You've got to remember. So everything that you've pronounced can be returned, come back to you, and you will have to take this into account. One thing that was here in this kind of silly performance, that she wanted to change her schedule. She was just upset with something, and no matter that they agreed that she would be the last to report, she wanted to be the first and then leave. And it was like, again, I want to just come back because I said about this Infopulse folks. Of course, this was like a very silly joke. You should never. This is coming to this attitude. You should never give your emotional assumptions to apply to the people's professional level. Yes, this Infopulse team is one of the most fantastic ones, the gorgeous team that they do everything. And it's like every step of our way is thought by them. But coming further here, if you have a schedule, this is very straightforward because, you have Jira, you have TFS, you have some commitments, you have Scrum. For instance, in our team, when people come and sometimes the newcomers, they would say, do I have to be in the office? No, you don't. As long as you perform your tasks and as long as we don't have any questions to you and you attend this 1 or 2 meetings that are obligatory to attend. Nobody cares if you're working from home or if you're working from Thailand or from where, right? But if you feel that you do not understand the rules in the team, you better ask the manager because again, I will later give you an example, but very good teams, for instance, in Infopulse, when we work, we have a very flexible schedule, but the task has to be done, the report has to be completed, and the meeting has to be attended. If you have some change in your plans, you better announce that in advance, because sometimes you might have people who are dependent on your behavior. Once I learned, I don't remember where I took that from, the 5 P's can help you. Proper planning prevents poor performance. This is very good. It can apply to you personally, this can apply to the whole team when you do sprint planning or something. Again, if you feel that you cannot perform a task, please inform your manager, inform your tech lead in advance, because then the conflicts can start that I thought that you would do this, you did not do this, and we fail. Again, a personal example. A long time ago, I had a QA lady in my team. That was a very specific type of a lady because we had our scrums at 11 and she would be late for each of them. I tell you for sure, honest to God, she would be late for each of the scrums. No matter what you what you tell her, no matter how often you talk to her, that was kind of the specific thing. Of course, she stayed late, but this was not acceptable. The team accepted the time of 11 o'clock. Once there was a task and we had to perform a regression test on a very small application, and when I went to Jira, I saw that she was the person who created this test cycle, and she had the capacity. I asked her, the request arrived on the Wednesday afternoon. Right after this, I asked her to look how much time she would need to perform a regression test on this application, because the customer told us that we are free to give him the estimate. He was not imposing anything on us. So right this Wednesday evening, she told me that she would need 2 days to complete this regression. She remembers the application well, so no problems were expected to happen. I reported that because she was not coming to the meetings, this was according to our module, but she on Thursday, I report that, okay, Thursday, Friday, Monday evening, we will give the results of that regression report. The manager accepts that, no problem. And then at the end of Friday, I was asking her if she was okay. She said yes, she was happy. She was happy with the deadlines, and she will deliver everything on Monday around noon, which was quite okay. I had time to review the report and just compose a good cover letter and send it out to the customer. Then she was very late. She was in the office about, I tell you honestly, because, you know, this is so incredible, and you would never believe that adult people could behave so, and especially in the IT industry when you know that everything is captured. So when she came on Monday, she said that she was not sure she would finish, and I was supposed to send that report at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because we had this meeting. She said that she needed just 2 hours more. My first question was, why didn't you come earlier to work? There was no response. Okay, I thought that there were some issues, maybe some health issues. I never ask people if they don't want to share. And so during the meeting, I tell our manager that, okay, at 6 o'clock, she will send the report, the results. That was okay because they always have some buffer, you know. I leave home about 7 o'clock. The report was not done. But we just ended we had the decision that she would send it herself. When I arrived at work on Tuesday, the report was not there. The last straw that broke the camel's back was that she said, I did send it. And when I asked her, can you resend this to me? There was a brand new report sent. So the woman was lying, and she was like, and you know, it was so frustrating because she was not only lying to our team, but she was like, my commitment on behalf of the team was broken. This is not the way it should be done. Sometimes, especially if you are in the kind of managerial positions, when you have the architectural decisions, that everyone is waiting on your decisions, and you understand that the whole team can be like dependent on that. Please do consider this in your plans, and at least you can report them far in advance. That would be appropriate. I believe so. This is something. If we come back to this stupid, I want to apologize for my language, but that stupid performance. So wrong audience is a start to a conflict. Wrong information is also not very well. It is just the source for the conflict. Bad language, of course. If you have some friendly relationship with your people, that's okay. But if you just talk on meetings or you communicate in emails, don't use this. Attitude to people should be equal. Don't base your assumptions on the personalities, right? Like gender, like family relations, if they are married or not, if they have like what religion they belong to, and of course commitment. So that was about like a very easy case, but now I wanted to give you so that was about that rotten apple, right? She came here, she wanted to spoil the reaction, but that was fun that I saw smiles on your face when she was progressing. That was good. But now I want to give you a hard nut to crack. So that was about the apple. Now I want to talk about just nut. Before this, I have to share, this is kind of disclaimer. Many years ago, I was a member of the Canada-Ukraine parliamentary program. That was an internship in Canada. We spent 3 months there, and I got a scholarship, and I participated in a course of conflict resolution. This is held at St. Paul University. I have the website here. I got the certificate. I'm showing it here because I don't want to get sued for sharing some information. So during this course, so this is about TPN is becoming third-party neutral. For instance, you have a conflict, and the conflicting parties, before they go to the court, they might go to some administrative body, and you will be appointing to be try to be go between them, right? So I have this certificate because I want to use some examples that we were considering in there. It was in 1999, and sometimes I keep thinking about these examples because this is not that straightforward as this silly lady coming here and shouting at you. So with your kind permission, I'm going to tell you a little story about an alligator town, but I needed just to switch to another presentation. I will not be asking questions. I will just tell you a story, and then I will ask you to think. Maybe we can talk during the after party. So, somewhere on this green, nice planet, there is a city. A small town which is called Alligator Town. Just a usual town. It sits on the two banks of the Alligator River. People just lead their normal course of life. They go to work, they come home, they get married, they have children. Well, the only thing is that this story happens about 50 years ago when we had no internet, no smartphones. So the only thing people could communicate was getting together, going to lunch together, and so on. So this is very important. There was a river. The river was connected with a bridge, and this was basically one of the best things that the people could connect. In this alligator town, there lived a little, just a woman, Abigail. Her name is Abigail. She is a young woman, and she is happily in love with Gregory. The only problem is that Abigail lives on the one bank of the river and Gregory lives on the other. That's no big problem for the two loving hearts because they come and see each other together every possible evening, and they spend time together at disco parties and so on. They are not yet married, but they are looking forward to this. But Gregory is working hard to make sure that his family does not need anything. But once there was a horrible thunderstorm at night, and as the result, the bridge was broken. There was also damage to some houses and the school and so on. And when people woke up in the morning, they saw that nobody was hurt, but still there was a lot of things to do. Abigail was frustrated. She understood that there is no bridge and she will not be able to see her beloved one. And the women here, you would probably understand that we are emotional and we want to see our honey ones just every day. A couple of days passed by and nothing was done. So Abigail went to the city council and she asked if the bridge was going to be mended, if the bridge was going to be repaired. And the mayor of the city told her that no way. Look, the school is without the roof. Some people have houses destroyed and you are talking about the bridge. You just we don't have it on our priority list. So, and you have to remember that this was a river. The alligator town was sitting on the alligator river, and it was full of man-eating alligators. So there was no way that anyone could swim through the river. But there was one thing. Before there was a bridge, and even now, there was a person who has a boat, and he would take people from one end to the other. And his name is Simon. Simon is a younger guy. He had this boat business from his father, and he would just take people from one end to the other. So what Abigail does, she comes to him and she asks him if he can deliver her from her house to the other bank so that she could see Gregory, because she misses him so much. And there is a little problem. Simon is in love with Abigail. He does understand that he has no chances because they are happily in love and they are planning a family. And what he says, he says is, I will take you to the other bank, but I want you to spend a night with me. Abigail is frustrated. She shouts, she cries, and she leaves. She comes home and she starts crying. But then she understands that this is the only way. She comes to Simon, and Simon says, you've got to understand, I love you so much, and I believe that this is 1 in a million chances of me to probably show you how tender I can be. I wish you and Gregory happy, life together, but maybe something happens and you will understand that there is a person who cares about you, and I promise you that everything that is between us will never be available to the public. And Abigail, she agrees, because she wants to see Gregory. So they have some time together, and in the morning, he delivers her to the other bank. Nobody knows about that, and she comes to Gregory, and she is so happy to see him, and he is happy to see her. And they come to a restaurant, and they have fun, and there comes Anna. And she is a lady who is in love with Gregory. And somehow she learned, maybe she saw Abigail coming out of Simon's house, and she told Gregory that, look, do you know that she did so and so? And Gregory was furious. He was brought up in a family that was very traditional. And she said, I'm sorry, Abigail, but we have no chance to be together. You knew about my principles and so on and so forth. You know, we can continue more and more, but you've got the idea here. We can stop here and say that the sun was going down on this alligator river and many people were unhappy. You know, I don't want you to kind of give me the answer who is right and who is wrong. But if you think, if you look like at these people and you understand that, I wanted to have two messages here. At that course we were playing when we were going to court. For instance, Abigail was going to court versus Anna, and they were just trying to understand who was right, who was wrong. So, and you had to be like a go-between. You had to be a neutral party. Of course you have your emotions, but you had to harness your emotions and help them. I wanted to make only two messages. No matter what conflict you have, and of course you can kind of project this conflict to your workplace, you have to understand that in a conflict, everyone is guilty. If you have a conflict between a developer or a QA, it's not like the developer said that this bug is not written according to the rules. You have to understand that both of them are guilty. I don't say that they are equally guilty, but there is not a person who is not guilty in the conflict. For instance, when I told this story to my family, my kids told me, Mom, but Gregory is the only one who is good. No way. Why wasn't he trying to meet with Abigail? I don't think that Simon would just ask him to do just the same. Everything would have been fun, right? So nobody is okay in this situation. My second message is that sometimes what you see in your teams, for instance, is kind of probably 10% of what is the real situation. It's kind of the iceberg thing, right? Remember that Titanic for a thing. So something that you see is very little thing, and if you, again, maybe you will need help from some professional HR people or someone, but you've got to be very careful, and it's very difficult to dig to the real root of this problem. So I believe this is what I wanted to talk to you about, and I have only one thing left, and this is to entertain my linguistic self. I don't know how to switch that. This one, right? From current slide. So, there is a saying, been there, got a t-shirt, right? So this is basically what we have. We have these hoodies. We did this in Vinnytsia, so you will be able to earn some of our Infopulse promo materials if you answer simple questions. I'm a linguist by education, and I always correct people, and I love when people speak English nicely. So what I have here, I have a couple of sentences taken from my colleagues' emails. Of course, every NDA information is removed, but I want you to find mistakes, simple linguistic mistakes in the sentences, and for those who are very active, will be able to earn some of our good stuff, right?
Right.
Well, let's get ready, right?
But again, so when you're answering, so please raise your hand, not just screaming out of your place, okay?
Yeah, it will be difficult for us to follow. So again, I believe it's 13 sentences, and we will go one by one. And can you find a mistake in the first sentence? Yes, lady here.
Okay, I'll come to you, so you'll have a mic to talk to.
Doesn't have any.
This employee number doesn't have any. That was very easy, yeah, but this is absolutely correct. Wonderful.
Okay, make a sound.
I'm not going to explain that, but yeah. Okay, now the next one. Here is the list of bugs which reproduce in the QA environment. Can you answer that?
Okay, I see the guy who's
just do a bit of running here, right?
Yeah, I can do that.
Which are reproduced.
Fantastic.
Which are reproduced.
Or which
right?
were reproduced, which are reproduced, which can be reproduced. Wonderful. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you urgently need this field only, then we can add it to the UI today. Where does the mistake sit? I'm sorry?
Not screaming. Not screaming.
Yeah.
Who knows the answer, please raise your hand.
Kind of school days, right?
Okay,
yeah. There is the guy. I don't know him.
Okay, you're banned.
Yeah?
Again?
I'm sorry, I don't get that.
Then.
Number 3, if you urgently.
Then.
Perfect. And should be written with E in the middle, right?
Thank you very much. Good.
Yeah. According to your recommendations, we logged these bugs in Jira.
So we have the raised hand.
Yeah.
According to your...
Perfect English. According to your recommendations.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Good. So we have 2 answers here. Good.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Please see the results of smoke testing in the QA environment.
So, I see the hand there.
Yeah, so
I'm
we
coming.
have...
Okay,
yeah.
thank you very much, guys. I have some running here.
Smoke.
How would you spell
Smoke, S-M-O-K-E.
Perfect, right. I don't know what that word means, but it was in one of the...
Smoking, maybe.
Smoking. Mock-ups.
Kind of
Smoking, right?
Okay, good.
Yeah,
thank
that
you
was
very much.
good. Then, let's decide on the call. Remember, these were taken from the email correspondence, so it would not be... Yeah, we have a young man here.
Okay,
right?
good.
During the call.
Probably during the call.
No, it's
okay.
No.
So the more hand there. Okay, guy in a white T-shirt with pipes.
Yeah, we have like
So
the person who can. Let what?
Let us.
Why? Well, no, we don't ask. We will decide. These are not linguistic. I mean, these are grammar mistakes. No.
So we have once again. So this is
Yes.
like
Yeah.
I suppose at the call.
No.
No?
On the call is quite possible, right?
Oh, good. So
This is not a comma. This is
don't scream, please. So just raise your hand.
we have a young man here. We
there. Okay,
yeah,
good.
right.
I'm running.
running.
We need apostrophe after let.
Perfect. Let us. Let's. Right.
Okay.
Let
nice.
us decide. Let us, meaning that we will.
So you didn't say that. He told that.
Did you say that? I'm so sorry. I have hearing problems.
Can we just have 2 right answers here, or we just have to find a winner?
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay, so you both
I
right,
honestly
guys.
don't care. Yeah, I'm entertaining myself. I told you.
Nice.
Okay, we're going to deploy the fix to dev. How?
Olga, please pick the person who's answering.
I don't know them by names.
Okay, just show with your hand.
I like that lady. Or maybe
Okay,
the one
okay.
before that lady. Sorry, I changed my mind.
the
I'm
one
sorry.
before.
You're gonna
This one maybe R.
where we are going? Yes, we are going to
We're
deploy.
going good.
We are going. Yeah, we're doing. Yeah. Do we need to mapping these values?
Yeah,
we have-
I
yeah,
see.
can-
I saw.
Yeah.
I saw that guy. He
Some
was
of
the
X,
first one.
Yeah, some of that.
Woo! I'm just jumping also.
Yeah, making progress.
Do we need to map these values?
Perfect. Right. Yeah. Do we need them mapping or do we need to map? Right. That's
We got 2 right answers here.
Wow. So now, because of I cannot pronounce that. Okay. Because of we cannot test this service without the test account and then the kind of continuation. Yeah, we have the lady. We have like.
Okay. Running. Please.
Can you hand it over?
Without of.
Yes, because of something, right? But because we cannot test this.
Thank you.
To debug reported issues, we need access to the database. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw there are ladies, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So.
We need an access.
Yeah, we need an access, right, to the database. Let's discuss about remaining questions. Here we have less
So
with the...
I saw the hand there. So
I believe
this is
they are
your
doing this on purpose, that on the opposite
Yeah, I know.
sizes, right?
I know. I saw this truck.
Yeah.
Let's discuss remaining questions.
Yes,
without
yeah,
bugs.
that's one. And this is a mistake that not only us, but some other people, not native speakers, right? So they say, let's discuss this. Not about this. Let's discuss about this, but let's discuss remaining questions. They did many mistakes in the documentation.
Okay.
This is a very tricky one.
They made many mistakes.
Perfect. Make mistakes, not do mistakes, right? And the last one. Wow, I didn't expect that because it was supposed to be the difficult.
Last one, so you have to choose the last one, I guess.
Okay, come on. There is a nice guy near
The
here.
nice guys, bear.
Yeah, women always.
I'm looking forward working with you.
To working. This is strange, but I'm working forward to doing something. This is just something that you have to remember. So I'm working forward to working with you. So
Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
this exhausts my list, and do we want to give any prize? But you will do this later, right?
Probably.
Okay. In the
Of course
end,
we will. Yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
in the end, I just like a sentence or two. It might be hard to believe, but conflicts can be productive. When they generate productive decisions, when they come and you understand that you look for a better solution. In such conflicts, people communicate healthily. They just exchange their ideas and they work towards a common goal. However, when we see a conflict that is destructive, this is where people simply waste their time. They sharpen their emotions and they ruin relationship. And definitely they threaten the project's success. So I want to wish us all to remove all rotten apples from our baskets. And I thank you very much for this time. You've been the awesome audience. Thank you very much.